What is going on, guys? TVM here. Welcome to FIFA 18 Team of the Week predictions, week number 29. Get super cheap coins for FIFA 18 or FIFA Mobile at x3game.com in association with UFIFA. Use the code TVM for 8% discount. The link is in the description. We're back, finally. We missed 2 episodes for the first time in 3 years. It won't happen again for a long time, I'm sure. 72 rated goalkeeper is our first player on the list this week. Matt Turner of New England made 6 saves, kept a clean sheet in what was a 2-0 win. Dominic Badji up next. This is the last of the silver players for this week. The Senegalese player from Colorado Rapids got himself a hat-trick. There's quite a few of these within this week's Team of the Week predictions as well. He also grabbed himself man of the match in what was a 3-0 win. Tobias Sana up next, and there's quite a few of these in this week's Team of the Week predictions. I don't mean of the same player, I mean players that you wouldn't use unless you supported the club that they come from. Tobias got himself a hat-trick, if you could believe it, in a 3-1 win. The first ridiculous name of this week's Team of the Week predictions goes to Romain Philippe Otto. Probably got that wrong, but that's close enough. He got, yep, you guessed it, a hat-trick in a 3-1 win for Auxerre. Thought I'd bunch these together and get them out of the way. Can't say this guy's name at all. Can say his first name, Peter, or Peter. The Austrian got 1 goal and a hat-trick of assists this time in a 5-1 win for Sturm Graz. So continuing the trend of scoring absolute shed loads of goals is Adinho. The Portuguese man got not 3 but 4 goals in a 4-1 win for Vitória Setúbal, if I've said that right, which I probably haven't. A reasonably high rated player next. I've decided to throw him in this section of the video, not that you really care, because there were too many attacking players up until this point. So we've got a defender in Andrea Maciello from Atalanta, got 1 goal and kept a clean sheet in what was a 2-0 win. Now this next guy, I'm not quite sure A, how to say his name, and B, his nationality. I'm going to go with Asawe. The reason I don't know of his nationality is because there's 2 different cards of him in FIFA, one English, one Nigerian. I believe he switched his nationality to Nigerian, which would make sense as well. The player got a hat-trick and a man of the match award in a 4-1 win. The reason it would make sense is because you often get these players who are able to play for more than one country, who can't break into the quote-unquote bigger team, will then go and play for the not-so-big team, so they're able to get into the side. No disrespect to Nigeria, but that's just the way things tend to work. Couple of Portuguese players flying around this week. Pires up next. Not the Pires you'd know from listening to it, but the Portuguese version. Got himself, you're never going to guess this, got himself a hat-trick and also picked up a Man of the Match award in a 4-3 win for Portimao. I always bang on about not being able to pronounce people's names, but in this case I genuinely never know what to say. I'm going to go with Mark Uth. I'm not quite sure if that's how you say it or not, but the Hoffenheim man got 2 goals and 2 assists and a Man of the Match award in a 6-0 win. That is a pretty impressive performance. Now bear in mind, we are still in the reserves here, and I've gone with Luis Alberto, which gives you some indication of how packed the front 6 or 7 are in the starting lineup. And that isn't even the highest rated player in the reserves, by the way. The Lazio man got 1 goal and 2 assists, was also crowned man of the match in Lazio's 6-2 win. And finally, in the reserves, we have the man, the myth, the tiger, that is Ibrahimovic. I mean, this guy is just unbelievable. Goes to a club, says he's going to do something, bang, does it. First game as well. What a goal it was that he scored, and of course he got the winner in that game as well. The new LA Galaxy man got 2 goals on his debut in that 4-3 derby win, which makes it even more special. If you haven't seen the goals he scored, the final goal to make it 4-3 wasn't that impressive. It was the typical Ibra goal, but the first goal he scored was just out of this world, phenomenal, audacious to say the least. But would be a bit of a shame if he didn't make it into the starting 11, because he wouldn't get that dynamic image, but there are so many big names in that starting 11 that I'm not quite sure he'll make it. Speaking of which, we're going to start things off with Kasper Schmeichel. Made a penalty save, kept a clean sheet, and of course Leicester went on to win 2-0. They've not been underperforming by any means this season, but Kasper Schmeichel definitely one of those who is still standing out in that Leicester team, despite them not being in the top 4 or 5. Potential second in form next for Raul, or Raul Silva as he's known in real world football. The Braga man got 1 goal and kept a clean sheet and was crowned man of the match in their 1-0 win over Sporting. There was a big game in Portugal as well. They're both side by side in the league table. Another potential second inform here from a Malaga man, and they've not been performing very well at all this season, hence one of the reasons why he's been nominated here. Roberto Rosales, the right-back, the Venezuelan right-back for Malaga, kept a clean sheet and was crowned man of the match in a 1-0 win, and it was an unexpected win. I believe it was over Villarreal. Malaga are last in the table right now. They really needed that, otherwise they would be almost mathematically down. And Saldi up next. This is a player that I always go to if I need to fit in a lot of players, to be honest. Cristian Saldi, the Argentinian, does very, very well in FIFA, and this card looks set to be pretty decent at a very low price as well. He got 1 goal in a 4-0 win for Torino. Up next is Steven Zuba. This is an interesting one for 2 reasons. A, it's because of an international appearance he made on Tuesday, and B, I'm not quite sure whether it would be left mid or left wing back. It tends to be when they play for their international side and the side isn't great, they tend to move him up slightly if they're full-backs. It happens with Alaba as well, obviously because he's the best player in the team, and it tends to be the case here as well. So could be a left wing-back, and it's for the Switzerland game that finished 6-0 Switzerland. Zuba got 1 goal and 2 assists. Ivan Perisic is our second highest rated player. I was going to say highest then, I forgot Ibra was on the reserves. The Croatian got 1 goal and 2 assists again, and was also crowned man of the match in a 3-0 win for Inter. Now, you hear me talk about the international break just a second ago. A lot of people up in arms last week that Isco didn't make the cut. Generally speaking, if the team of the week is stacked, EA will not include Tuesday games, as it's a lot more difficult for them to fit it in. So what they tend to do is roll it over. I would imagine Isco would be rolled over into this week. Of course, Spain absolutely demolished Argentina 6-1, and Isco was at the forefront of that with a hat-trick. So a lot of people, as I say, understandably upset about it, but it does tend to be the case that they roll it over. Dele Alli up next, and he's been relatively quiet as far as FIFA is concerned this year, but he is potentially up for a second inform with 2 goals and a man of the match performance in a 3-1 win over Chelsea. Sticking with the Premier League for the final time this week, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang of Arsenal finally pulling his finger out and doing some good. 2 goals and a man of the match performance in a 3-0 win for Arsenal over Stoke. He has a one to watch. It sort of emphasises the need to give him an inform slightly more, so I'd imagine he'll be there. Up next, and second to last, is Kylian Mbappe. I believe this is another international one. The Frenchman got 2 goals in a 3-1 win. I believe it was for France. I didn't write that bit down. I probably should have, so I remembered. But still, potentially 87. I believe he has a one to watch as well, although I am slightly incompetent, so I didn't put that on screen for you. But still, I think that's a pretty good shout there for Kylian Mbappe. And finally, for the starting 11, alongside Ronaldo and Messi, I've counted Lewandowski has been on the thumbnail more than any other player from my Team of the Week predictions. This guy is so consistent. I wouldn't say prolific necessarily, but he's definitely consistent. I think he's the second highest goal scorer in Europe, so he is prolific as well. But either way, from a 92 to a potential 93, I believe he'd be boosted slightly better than this as well. I've not really done him justice here, but still, the Bayern Munich man got a hat-trick and was crowned man of the match in a 6-0 win over Dortmund. Wouldn't be surprised as well if we saw another player from that game, as it was such an emphatic victory over their close rivals. And of course, I do have a few names to mention in the possibles. 2 very strong possibles, and then 4 or 5 sort of half potentials. We'll go with the half potentials first. We've got Gareth Bale with 2 goals, and of course he's already got an inform this week, so it's very unlikely they're going to give it to him. I've had a look at the other performances within that Real Madrid side, and nothing really stood out to me, so if they're going to do it, it would be for Bale, but they haven't given it to Gomes, who got 4 goals the week after he got an inform, so they're not going to give it to Bale for 2. Messi got 1 goal off the bench to salvage an unbeaten run for Barca. Potential, but if it was anyone else other than Messi, I'd be saying yes, but as it was Messi, I'm going to go with no. James Rodriguez is the other player that I would mention from that Bayern Munich game. He got 1 goal and 2 assists. He also has a one to watch as well. I own that one to watch, so I would love nothing more than to have that inform, but I just can't quite see it happening, although it is a 50-50, I would say. The Feyenoord game that finished 5-0, there are about 3 players, I would say. Tunstra is probably my pick there. You got a goal and an assist, but there are 2 other players within that side and within that game that got a goal and an assist as well. So they're both wingers, and I can't quite remember their names. But either way, there is a potential for an inform there, but my pick would be Tunstra. And finally, Arnautovic. I'd love to see this because I really do like Arnautovic within FIFA. Can't see him being at West Ham much longer either. 2 goals for West Ham this week, and he got 1 goal for Austria on Tuesday. So there's a massive shout there, but I'm not quite sure who I would take out to replace with Arnautovic. Our final two players are Romelu Lukaku, who would go from an 88 to an 89. He got 2 goals and 1 assist in a 4-0 win, and of course he does have a 1 to watch as well, so there is a massive shout there. And to be honest, Romelu Lukaku and the next player that I'm going to talk about, they're both in with such big shouts that honestly, if they made it in there, it would be no surprise whatsoever. The only reason I've not put them in is because I can't quite decide who to take out. We need defenders, so you can't really replace any of those. There are a lot of strikers this week, and I would definitely be more than happy to replace them, but they have like hat-tricks and 4 goals and 2 goals, 2 assists and things. It's very difficult to decide who to take out instead of Lukaku. And next up, of course, and finally, is Sami Khedira. The German got 1 goal and 1 assist in a 3-1 win for Juve over Milan. Very big game there in Italy. Not as big as it used to be, of course, but still 2 massive sides. And again, I would love to see Sami Khedira get himself an inform, because he's deserved it. He's been up from, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 informs, and he never really gets mentioned by EA. So it would be nice if they gave back slightly. But again, who do you take out? If you have any suggestions, feel free to leave them in the comments section. If I've missed anyone, you can leave that there as well. If you have enjoyed it, smack the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and until the next time, goodbye.